Hey everybody, Ben here for the Bonehead podcast, and welcome to Top 5 Friday. Every Friday we get together and we have a look at the top 5, something normally to do with Blood Bowl. Now, we are continuing our series looking at the best alternatives to Games Workshop's models out there. So today we're looking at another spooky team. We're looking at the Necromantic team. Now, I love the Games Workshop Necro team. I thought it was really well done, a ton of character. And as far as Games Workshop teams go, pretty good value. What's there? Is it 14 players in a box? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Including all the positionals, this is one of the better one-box teams out there. But there's a couple of things you may not like about them. You may not like the fun skeletons. You may not like the ghosts. But sometimes it's just more Blood Bowl is more better. So let's delve in and have a look at the top 5 Necromantic teams. And number 5 is RNA Studios. Now, this team is available on STL on My Mini Factory for $49, or you can get the team shipped by them for €100. So if you've got a printer, $50 for a whole team can feel a bit steep, but you get all the pieces you need here for a Necro team and an Undead team, which is kind of the sweet spot when it comes to looking at Necromantic teams. There's a lot of interchangeable parts, and actually this is probably one of the better ways to do it. So RNA Studios have got this kind of cartoony vibe to them. They're exaggerated, and you can see there the mummies are just some of the, like, they're brilliant models. They're really good fun. There we go, let's zoom in a bit. But like I said, they've got this cartoony element to it, and you can see that in the ghouls there, and you've got kind of like the distended faces, you've got the brainless zombies, which I really like. And this kit comes with a mixture of skeletons and zombies. Course, for a Necro team you're going to need zombies, but because the Necromantic team only has one type of lineman, you can use zombies and skeletons interchangeably for this team, and it's not going to cause you an issue. So it just gives you kind of more variety at that point, which I'm a big fan of. Now, they've got some cool ghosts here. So they've reimagined the Wights for Undead, Wraiths for Necromantic. The Wraiths here, and they are just kind of these weird, formless clouds of shadows, which I actually think are beautiful models and really cool, a really cool alternative to the bedsheet ghosts from the Necromantic team. Now, I'm quite a big fan of the bedsheet ghosts, but I do really like these models. They've kind of got like, I don't know, they're leaning towards ring wraithy, and you've got more skeletons, and you've got more mummies, which you're going to be using as your flesh golems, and you've got a variety of the ghouls there with the big old faces, and some of the coolest werewolf models going. So it's a great mix of team. For €49, you know, you get the whole whack of the team, which is kind of good. $49 for the STLs does feel a bit pricey when it comes to RNA Studio, but you're getting 2 teams really, so this one is actually pretty good. Number 4, it's Fanath Games and Games of North. So I'm not sure if they did this as a Kickstarter, or whether they just kind of released. Fanath tend to do things a bit old school. Now, they dropped this team with 2 alternatives. There is kind of like a living Norseman team, and there is an undead, this team, which beautifully fits in Necromantic. So you've got €69 for the full team in plastic resin or in metal. That's fine. Let's actually have a look at the models themselves and what comes in the team. So this is a Game of Thrones themed team, which is either gonna be really exciting for you or kind of turn you off a little bit. I think the execution is brilliant, and when I've seen this team kicking around, I've always been, it's a bit of a double take team. You're kind of like, what is that? That's really cool. Like, you've got that kind of high impact. So you've got the kind of wolves there as your werewolves. You've got the golems are just my favorite. So you've got the big Hodor guy with a little skeleton on his back, and you've got the mountain down here punching someone's head in, which again I just think is really, really, really cool. The ghouls are the walkers with the hoods on, and everybody else is just an ordinary dude. Now, the cool thing is that you've got a good mix of sculpts. Every sculpt is individual, which can be great. It can also be a little bit chaotic. For the wraiths not wights, you've got the kind of undead king there, which I think is really, really, really cool. Fanath do great models, the scale's good, the sculpting's great, their casting process is brilliant, and you get an absolute monster of a team here with a bunch of different positionals. So what we're looking at, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 players, all the positionals, and every one of them is a unique sculpt. Really like this one, and at €70, it's pretty affordable. Number 3, it's Willy Miniatures. So this is their Necromantic team, and it is €80. You get 4 zombies, 4 racial zombies, which is a very cool part of this team. 2 ghouls, 2 whites, 2 flesh golems, and 2 werewolves. So the whites are going to have to be your wraiths in this one, because this is kind of built for the old school rules. It doesn't matter too much. Now, the reason we flagged this at number 3 is 1, obviously, because of your feedback in the comments, but 2, because the white models are just some of my absolute favourite models of all time. This team has got an absolute ton of character. Do we have different models? Yes, Willy Miniatures, doing it right. Here we go, we can actually flick through. So these are your zombies, and you've got a nice mixture of poses, which is wonderful, and some internet lag on the go. These are the racial zombies, so you've got elves, orcs, beastman, which I think is just a really cool addition to the team. It just adds so much variety, and also in League, when you murder a dude and get to resurrect them and add them to your team, well, you've got a beastman for that, you've got an elf for that, you've got an orc for that, which I think is really cool. Now, the 2 flesh golems are very, well, they're just murdery as you like. Now, Willy Miniatures are kind of, they're big sculpts anyway, so this is an absolute monster on the pitch, and they're both built with a lot of character. I really like these. Pedro Ramos miniatures, in fact, and it's just this. I love these. Well, they're white, really, aren't they? But they're to be used as wraiths for this team, which is perfectly fine. I love it. I thought it's really cool. Both the werewolf sculpts are really good as well. It's a really well executed team. The only thing I'm not overly fond of is the ghouls, but it's just a stylistic thing. They kind of look like half orc, half lizards, and that's perfectly fine, because the whole team together, I think, works really well, and that is why it is number 3. Which brings us to number 2, and this is the Brute Fun part of the video. So, Brute Fun is our friend, does great Blood Bowl sculpting, and has just produced one of the best Blood Bowl teams out there for the Necro team. I think we did a print pitch for this one last month, and it's just so well executed. So even though this team is available for $34 to pick up, well, that's pretty good actually. That's $34 with all the star players as well. Oh, that's pretty great. So you've got all the star players in there, and you've got all the positionals. We'll flick through and have a look. So you've got a zombie lineman set, you've got a Skaven, you've got an elf, you've got an orc there, there's even a dwarf kicking around, and a bunch of different sculpts for it, which I think is really cool. So $34 for the STLs, you can pick up a printed team for like £35-40, I think, on Etsy or something like that. And again, we've got great individual werewolf sculpts here, and a couple of brilliant flesh golems. I think I printed this team 100%. I might have boosted it up as well just to make it a little bit more imposing, but the flesh golems are really well done. They've kind of mimicked the Frankenstein style from Forge World, so you've got like an orc troll hand on one of the flesh golems, which works really well. Yeah, the ghouls are brilliant, and they blend in excellently with the kind of undead vibe of the undead team that Brute Fun do as well, so again, you've got that interchangeability. But one of the things I love about this team is the wraiths. They look just like the artwork, except for the helmet. So they've got that kind of ghostly, spectral ghost smoke vibe, and then they've just got Blood Bowl armor added to them, which just comes together and gives you exactly what you'd expect. Very much kind of leaning into the Gretchen art, which makes a lot of sense because it's a necromantic team. And you've got star players too. This is one of my favourite things about this. You've got a great werewolf model there for Wilhelm Chaney. Frank is an absolute beast of a model. I've got him printed somewhere. I think I've got him printed somewhere. It's a really great model, big old chunky boy. And you've got Bryce the Slice, who is just really well done. This guy here, you've got all the flames. It just really pulls it off. Oh, you can go up and down and left. You've got tokens there too. So you've got an absolute just mammoth selection of stars and players. And in fact, we didn't get to see Gretchen on the preview here, but one of the ghosts, I think, has got a star player version as well. So again, really flexible. You get all the STLs. It's fully supported. You're going to have a team in 6 hours, and I think it's just absolutely brilliant. That brings us to number 1, and this is a really close number 1 here. So Brute Fun do brilliant stuff. It's very affordable. Fanath Execution's brilliant. Willy Miniatures as well. RNA Studios is flexible too. There's a bunch of great teams for Necro. Necro is such a fun team anyway. But you need something special to compete with that Games Workshop box. That Games Workshop box is £36 and you get the entire team that you need. So we're kind of looking at that price point and that quality. It is really hard to beat. So you need something that's really sweet on style, like the Fanath team. That's really sweet on value, like the Brute Fun team. And then we've also got the Punga team. Now this is from their Kickstarter a couple of years ago. Again, they did this undead mix with vampires, tomb kings, and necromantic and undead. And they are still some of the best sculpts kicking around. I think this is one of the teams that Bloodtithe Ben tries to bring back every single year when we do the Bonehead Awards to be like, this is the best team from last year. And everything we've said about the other teams is very applicable here, right? You've got very cool, very unique golem sculpts. You've got brilliant werewolves. You've got the ghouls who stand out beautifully. They've got this weird kind of goblin-y vampire vibe to them that are just really cool. And you've got the great ghosts. Now these ghosts they kind of redid and added to the team when there was the change of the roster. So you've got, again, such a cool vibe. And very much like Brute Fun's models, they lean into the kind of Age of Sigmar, Night Haunt people vibe, right? Which is that kind of ghosts with skull heads, no legs, the tattered robes. It works beautifully. And because it's one of the Punga teams, every single model is individually sculpted with a ton of character, and it fits really well in with their vampire team, with all their other teams. Now, this is a tough one to kind of come up with a number 1 here, because all of these teams are really accessible. At the moment, this team is at $99, which is, I don't know, probably £99 at the moment. So £100 for that third-party team. You get 2 Wraiths, 2 Ghouls, 8 Zombies, that's 12, 13, 14, 2 Werewolves, 15, 16, 2 Flesh Golems, and your markers in there as well. So, oh, there's an add-on pack as well. That's the dangerous thing with these websites. So, sculpting, casting, it's beautifully done. And the cool thing about all of these teams is it is really up to you to decide what it is you want. Do you want this kind of mixture of ghosts and pirates here, where you've got the Crypt Guardians from Punga? Do you want the flexibility and proper straight up Blood Bowl aesthetic from Brute Fun, the Game of Thrones angle from Fanath, and 2 great alternatives from RNA Studios and Willy Miniatures? There's a ton of great models out there, and I haven't even mentioned the fact that all you really need to do is find a bunch of skeletons or zombies, and then find a couple of werewolves you like, find a couple of ghosts you like, take a couple of ghouls that you've got from the undead team. You can kind of just add to it, find some big lads to be your flesh golems. It's not hard to convert your own necro team. The Games Workshop team is brilliant. Converting your own one is easy enough, and we've got great alternatives here if you just want to buy something special as a treat or because you really love the team. So Necromantic are just one of my favorite teams in Blood Bowl. They are really potent on the pitch, and there's some great models out there for them. So let me know if we've missed any team out and which one you prefer for Blood Bowl, because big fan of Necro and big fan of all 5 of these teams. Anyway guys, I'm going to wrap up. Have a great weekend. We'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Happy blocking. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to support the channel even further, please like and subscribe. It really does help us out. Or come join us on YouTube Members or in Patreon, where you can get exclusive access to some content, some loot, early access to basically everything we do, as well as regular competitions. Or you can pick up some Bonehead Podcast loot either on our website at boneheadpodcast.com. We've got the Dungeon Bowl things, we've got tokens and stuff like that, or on our Spreadshirt site as well. Everything you do just helps us make more content and hopefully do it of better quality. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Happy blocking.